Forward. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. It feels like it's been a long day. Sometimes I forget what time of year it is. This is the last week heading into Labor Day. There's lots of people still on vacation. There's lots of people draining water out of their basements. There's lots of people who are taking care of their businesses that are ruined. So just have a little perspective. If today was a little bit of a choppier day and the last few days might have been a little choppier, just realize that there's a lot of craziness happening in this world between COVID and the storms. But anyway, so just trying to be a little bit more glass half full versus half empty. And I'm kind of talking to myself too because I feel like the last 2 days have been tricky and choppy, and something's working, something's not working, something's just trapping you. And I know I was in a bad mood this morning when I had to take my Jeep through 4 feet of water to get here, and then the friggin' fire alarms going off for about an hour and a half. I had to put my AirPods in. Red Pup had to put like a Christmas hat from last year on it to muffle the noise, and I couldn't even turn the volume on because it's too loud. But anyway, you walk around town and there's flooding and mud, and people's businesses are going to be closed for a while. It's like, what's really important. And today is actually Chase's 13th birthday, so I got to be happy, right? He's 13 already. What a good boy he is. So anyway, if you go to the virtual trading floor, I do not like my virtual trading floor. I don't like what I have on. I'm trying to figure out how I could be long, maybe how I could be hedged or short in case, how I could be in some of these little, small caps, because the small caps have been acting well. So I'm trying to do everything strategically where, you still have a September 2nd. I have the memories of September 3rd of last year where all of a sudden I was getting squeezed out of my hedges and upset, and then you finally had a down day and it led to a multi-week correction. So you want to see where that was? That was here. So you go to the Qs real quickly. It was, not say every setup is different, but if you remember, right around here, this is when the market was like really, chugging along. I remember I thought it was so overbought. I started, played it really long, and then all of a sudden, like right here, I started to, get a little overhedged, which I'm not overhedged now, and then this wide range bar kind of engulfed all these days and ended up giving you a down move all the way into September 25th, lower high, and then your double bottom happened in November. So pretty damn choppy. So where are we now? We're not quite as extended. We're not quite as we're a hell of a lot higher. So we'll see how it goes. So let's go to the Qs first. The Qs hanging in here. Let's get rid of some of these dots. This is what? This is 378, 378.36. Tomorrow, what does everybody want to see? Well, the street wants to see kind of a dovish jobs number. Not too soft or like, oh my God, the economy is falling apart. What can we do now? But kind of soft where it's like, okay, the Fed has to keep QE. They can't taper so fast. And, so the pace of purchase will stay there. And, that means a lot of things in stockland, they'll continue to go up. And that means we make a lot of money. But I guess if it's a little bit hotter of a jobs report and, and the inflation continues to creep up and, we're taking for granted the taper that can be quicker, then all of a sudden you might get a wide range bar and change things. But for now, in Q's land, you have 378. That's one spot, still above the 8-day. Kind of stretched from when we reclaimed 361 and took this out. That was the spot to put in some mega risks, and we did really well into this. I was down like 60 grand for the quarter, which was basically off my highs, and now I'm up for the quarter and I'm through the highs of my year, but I'm kind of like the last day or two just kind of spinning wheels trying to figure out how I could position myself for a trade to make money, and I'm just trying to do a little less. So 378, 382, we'll see. SPYs, like I just had up. Also, there's a time and place to put on calculated risk, and really here too when when this went above that. I remember we were all waiting to buy the 50-day. It didn't happen, but then when it cleared this 441, I told you at least to cover some shorts. I remember I was net short into here because why? We were below the 21 day, and could we have fallen apart? Yes, but did we? No. Kind of green day, then boom. So now what? You have 454. We're still above the 8-day. I'm going to even take this out because it's a little noisy. This is really, your spot. 453 is right there. Kind of pausing, waiting, which makes sense. IWM, First nice active sequence in a while after clearing 214, taking back the moving averages, hit 229.84. I feel like my portfolio approach has a lot more of the small caps in, and they haven't even really been that great. So some have been better than others, and some have been very tricky. But all in all, some guys like, hey, Red Dog, how could you be bear? I'm like, first of all, I'm not bearish. I'm just being a little cautious. I don't want to get caught. So I've been working my tail off to stay prudent and make money and tack it along. But I don't get caught if all of a sudden we do have a historical September, October volatile time where what could do it? The fiscal cliff. What could do it? COVID and schools. What could do it? A faster taper. Those are three things that could happen in the next month. So that's why with the VIX down at lows, I put on the VIX call spread just to have in case. If it doesn't work and it's a zero, that means we're trending higher and I'm probably sitting in 15 positions making a lot of money long. If all of a sudden we get hit hard and I have to get out of the rest of my longs and it costs me money, I'll make money with my VIX call spread. So I'm trying to use Stephanie's barbell approach. So, but if we hang here and we break above this channel, it's a pretty big channel, 210 to 230. It's 20 points. That's 250. That means there's gonna be a lot of action in the small caps, and that means good action for us. It means you could buy things that have a day one and then usually get day two, day three. So you can look for high volume setups versus up one day, then not a whole hell of a lot. So we'll see. What is all this stuff going on here? So anyway, this has been a nice place to be. Here broke to the downside, now it's on its way to the upside. And then you have some, the big cap channels that are intact. Netflix has been a really good trade for us. I wish, I traded it a little bit more. I think I was in Montauk when this happened. So then right around here, I'm like, hey, if it gets back to 593, I need to have a big call spread on. And right now it's 598, and we're pretty maxed out. So, but the call spread we have on, the call spread is what, 560s by 595, so that's 35 points. I think it cost me 5. So from 5 to 30, that's a nice call spread. But then you could have bought it here, you could have bought it there, you could have bought it through there. I was hoping for a little pause, and it went above 593. So maybe it pulls into here, and then we buy some 600s for more upside. We'll see. But hasn't been waiting. That's why sometimes an active sequence happens and you go. So that's why sometimes when I don't know when it's going to happen, I do a big call spread. So this way I don't have the anxiety of not being in it. Apple's been a little trickier. We made some money, but now, it's trying to absorb the App Store news. News of a car came out. We're still waiting for Epic, verdict. Right now, South Korea said that they're not, they had to change something in their App Store, which will cost them money. I guess you could raise this up now to here. It's a little noisy. Put this there. This we don't need anymore. This get down to here just to. So what do I have on? I don't have the stock on because it's a little wishy-washy, but I do have 152.5 leftover calls. So just in case they win the Epic verdict and it goes nuts, I have it. If they lose, risk is premium paid because it was supposed to come out 2 weeks ago, and the action's a little faulty. So I didn't come in with Facebook. Facebook, I started to get a little upset that I wasn't in it anymore, but I feel like I prudently sold it above 381, and today it hit almost 374. Some guys go, why don't you buy a dip? I'm like, well, I don't really buy day one down, especially when something shows some relative weakness. And this showed relative weakness today as it took out these two pivots. Some guys made money short. I did not. And even though it held the 8-day, which has been the trend, it's leading the market down before anything else. So if it means nothing, it means nothing. But I'm not just going to buy the close here as it closed, near the lows. Same thing with Google. Google, for the first time in a long time, had some relative weakness where it, traded below the 2-day pivot. Yes, it's above the 8-day, and yes, dips have been viable, but it could be a much bigger dip if it wants to. So a day one potent move like that takes out a small ascending little channel here, I'm not buying it as it closes on the lows. There are probably some people short saying, hey, we should get downside follow through in Facebook and Google if the market's down tomorrow. If it is, we might, but we'll see. Amazon in my morning note, I'm like, some guys after yesterday's topping tail, people will probably be shorting this strength versus yesterday's high, and if they did that, they made some money. All right, here's yesterday's high. Here's a lower high. And then it actually even took out yesterday's low. I haven't really been too active in Amazon lately, but if Amazon could get a little closer to all these moving averages into here, maybe there'll be a spot to buy some back, for then better action moving into the fourth quarter. But we'll see. This was your spot to get in there. Here was your descending channel. Here was your even like a little bit of a double bottom that people were talking to or pointing out. A lot of guys made good money on the VTF. I made peanuts, short puts, and and now I'm going to re-engage it hopefully. Yeah, Roku was a pain in the ass. This is something that's unfortunate, right? This looks good. This looks like it's ready to take out this lower range. I mean, this range to the upside, and then that happens. So I lost money there on this candle. People are like, oh, why don't you take it overnight? I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll, instead of taking it overnight, it shouldn't get below, 360 if it's any good. And today I went and closed on the dead low, so I had to take my loss because you sell puts, you have to be willing to buy the shares where you sold the puts, and that was at 360, and it closed at 346, and now it looks like it could head lower. Anything could happen. This I don't even know why this is still here anymore. That failed. Remember this company handle pattern? Or right there, it failed. So now we get rid of this thing because it's not relevant anymore. But this is an ugly candle engulfing this range. I can't sit in that. So it took like a $5,000 loss. Whereas you had some other of these, lower level broken bounce trades that led to upside. Not all of them. Some do, some don't. That hurt. But you know what? I'll get out of the way. I'm not going to hope and wish that we get something tomorrow. I'm going to say, you know what? If we're down tomorrow, this looks like it's below every moving average. Well, I can't be in it. It had a chance yesterday, and that chance was negated like that. So I'll take my loss and I'll move on. And then you have all these like little guys with the IWM that were doing decent. Some well, some not so well. Space wound up giving a push, and then all of a sudden, it got above a prior level and then failed, and I got stopped out while I was at lunch. Some news came out of it's not doing a space flight, but this again, say broken bounce and continued, then done. All right. Tried playing a broken bounce in F-cell, leading to a whole lot of nothing. So I'm smaller. Tried playing a broken bounce in mile. Led to, actually this looks like it might edge up or whatever. That name's. By the way, remember when it broke the 21 day right here, and then got back to it. That's how you use moving averages. But anyway, some guys are still in Fubo, not me. It's just kind of edging higher. Snap's been a pain in the butt. I've only bought weakness, so it's been saving me. And I remember this morning, I think Red Puff with like 10 to 10, it was up $1.50. I'm like, I'm selling some strength because I bought a dip yesterday, and then it still rolled over. Still hanging above the gap, but this is a pain in the butt. So I'm still in it, but not doing a whole hell of a lot. AMD also is choppy as hell. Right? To me, remember we were in it when I was in Ukraine, sold some strength, bought some back, sold some strength, and then I got stopped out, and now I'm in wait and see land. I'm in no rush here, and just get rid of this for now. This is it broke 109. That's why I get out of it. So who knows? Maybe it wants to see the 21 day, or not. But it's not giving you. That's not. I know it's down for 4 days. So if you're just anticipating it going higher, then that's a different story. Nvidia also is choppy. It's hanging around though. Some guys say, hey, as long as it holds above 221, I'll stay in it. Look at the size of the move, which is true. Perspective-wise, this was a nice breakout, and it's just hanging here. But it's like on an elevated perch. So if the market's going to come in, that'll come in. If it's not, it's not. So we'll see. GME, a whole lot of nothing. Hanging in here. This is now done. This is your new little box. This was a nice move that we caught that call spread, and then in here it's been choppy, messy. I've been losing a little bit. AMC, it's still hanging around, which is kind of crazy. So maybe at some point it continues because there's a lot of people out there saying this has to go down, and who knows? My friend Todd's been selling a lot of calls there, making a lot of money. But if it gets above 48.30, it could go. Same way when it got above 39. It went to 48. Time and place. Buying in here, remember we made how much money we made? And then here is where it failed and turned into a rebuild process. So we'll see. I have no position in AMC or GME right now. And then I was in some of these little ones from this week. I still have some on, and I'm not that optimistic. LYS, maybe hanging in here. Big move we caught, so maybe it's going to go sideways, and then at some point, take this out to have continuation. But as of right now, I'm just trying to be patient and sit in it smaller. The ZEV, we also caught a nice trade. It's still doing a whole lot of nothing. These are the small caps. Small caps are in place, so I forgot to mean some small caps. What does Mikey want? Hold on. Then there's a good setup. Like this setup to me looks really good. This AFRM, right? You had a big gap up, holding the gap up. This is 101. This is 89.25. So I'm in long some. And if you can get above here, perhaps it continues to the upside. Lots of people caught not long and lots of people caught short. So maybe this goes. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's hanging up here. So that's one of my bigger positions overnight. Let's hope, so no bad news happens. I did put on Home Depot today. Thinking, hey, maybe with all of the damage from the hurricanes and the snap, people don't have to spend money to, kind of fix up their homes, and it's a nice tight pattern. So it's something that I don't have on. So I'm like, let me buy some of this, put some of that. There was some news that, Buffett might be taking an interest in AT&T. This was when it reversed and up here. So I said, hey, maybe I'll try a little bit down there. It's not like it's pricing in anything. I did put a little bit of a Viacom call spread on. Look at the size of this channel, and every time you buy it, it goes down. Every time you sell it, it goes up. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'll put on a 42.5 by 45 call spread for a month. If it goes, should get above 47, and I should have no problem maximizing my call spread. I paid 80 cents to maybe make $1.70. So to me, that takes the FOMO off the table of something happening with some kind of asset sale or takeover or whatever is going to happen there. So that's why I'm in that. Disney, I think we did pretty well there. If you look at the Disney, just so you can follow the VTF, I had two different sets of calls on. I had calls for November 3rd, and then I also had calls for the 17th. So one was for this week to have a big push, and one was a little bit of time. So I took that off when it was up another $1.50. So we did do well with those Disney calls, and I was safe. Sometimes being safe is good. I think we bought it on this day, and so why not take it off into resistance? So now maybe it goes sideways and then takes that out, or not. But we have 2 weeks plus for that to happen. Some guys made really good money in BABA from, not me. Remember this little red dog reversal higher low when we were in the Ukraine? Well, led to a nice big move right back into resistance and then fell today. So those of you who are in NEO, nice yesterday, reclaim this 37.90. Remember we talked about how they sold the strong deliveries. Maybe they'll buy it. So made some money yesterday. And then I didn't stay with it. So little decisions lately could either, make or break you. They're not make or breaking me. They're just, sometimes frustrating if you, I should not have really sold NEO yesterday after yesterday's reversal. I could have made really good money there. Same way I could have also not got rid of my call spread that I had for BABA that we bought here. It would have been a nice, into tomorrow, it would have been a nice double or triple. So anyway, sometimes I try and save myself money, and I cost myself money. So if you're counting the money, or if you're too tight or you have too many shares, sometimes you don't do the right trade, or you're too tight for that trade. So try not to do that. So tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. I think the street's looking at like 750,000 additional jobs. That's the whisper. I think the market wants to see 600-ish. If it sees under 5, it'll be like, whoa, we still have a long way to go while we're all the way up here. I think that might be too dovish. If we see a hot, which I don't see why we would, considering who the hell is hiring everybody in August or so, then maybe I don't know. I'm not that interested in having too much longs, too much shorts. I have some leftover positions, and we'll see how it goes moving forward. So if you're already on cruise control heading into Labor Day weekend, congratulations. That's fine. Then don't have too much exposure and just be happy with where you're at. If you're thinking September 3rd is going to be a doozy because it was a doozy last year, then just, everything doesn't happen the same way. So don't just go balls to the wall short because you think it's going to happen, and then all of a sudden everyone who thinks it's going to happen, they get one more squeeze, and then it happens next week. So have some longs, have some shorts, have an idea of why you're in something. If you're in it just because you're in for a coin toss, don't do it that way because you work too hard for your money. So I got to get going. I wish you the best. I'll be here early in the morning tomorrow, and we'll figure out, where the futures are, how we can manage some more positions, and then get ready for the jobs report that'll be out at 8:30. Good night, guys.